Hey everybody, Dallisa here, fifth generation psychic medium, CEO of the Fabulous Spirit and Spark. I'm excited to be coming to you live this morning. It is October 11th, 2021. I almost said 2001. Oh man, the energy is big today. I'm going to be joined by Julian, the London astrologer. So you can look forward to having him tell us all about what's coming up this week and maybe even a little bit further out. I might just ask him what in the heck he thinks is coming for the rest of this year. We'll see. Julian's always fun to have on the show, but we are about to get started. So have you tagged your friends, your family, your coworkers? Do they know that we're here, that we're talking about all this big energy in the air? I think that you should let them know so they can come and join the fun. Comment and let me know, where are you watching from this morning? Let's get started. All right, we got lots of good stuff. The energy is big. My hair is big, just like Texas. I swear, this humidity in Texas since I moved here, my hair just doesn't know what it wants to do. So hello. I hope everybody's having a great start to their week. It's an interesting week. The energy is high. I'm going to tell you what's coming up and give you just my big overview of the themes for this week. And then Julian will come on and tell us all about the astrology. So make sure you subscribe to the Spirit and Spark channel if you haven't already done so. I will be back later today with Michelle Snelling, and we'll be talking practicality and magic. So that's coming up later today. If you haven't seen for October, I'm doing Tarot Tuesdays and Woo-Saw Wednesdays. You got that announcement if you're on our email list or our text blast list. If you're not, the banner below tells you how to do everything. You can text the word expand to 33222, or you can go to spiritandspark.com and ask for our email newsletter, and you get all the inside dish and all the things that we're offering. So make sure you've done that. I did announce to our Spark Plug members on Friday, I'm doing a series in November called Transform in 20 minutes a week. So there's 5 sessions because there's 5 Tuesdays in November. So each Tuesday we're going to spend 20 minutes together. We're going to transform the energy, and it's $55 for public. You'll be getting that if you're on our email or our text list. You'll be getting that this week. Spark Plug members, you already have the link to sign up. So there are 42 spots available. That's it. Once they're gone, they're gone. So make sure you've signed up for that. I'll drop the comment here on how to sign up for that. Let's see here. I thought I was being really organized and made a list of all of my links for today because there's a few of them. So let me go ahead and drop this in the comments. This is the link to Transform in 20 for November. So because you're watching this video, even if you're not a Spark Plug member, that's where you go. Oh, I guess it's that side. Samir, go ahead and sign up for that. 42 spots. There are more classes. There's a jump for joy through hypnosis, elevating your joy, your happiness. There's a full moon, and then my free Mediumship 101 class. I'm going to drop that link in here too. So if you want to learn how to connect with ease over to the other side, this is the link to the Mediumship 101 free class pass. That's with me. That's later this month. You have to attend live. I'm not going to record it. I'm trying to build a community here, and I don't want you signing up just assuming, oh yeah, I'll just get a recording and maybe listen to it later. Nope, it's a live class. So if you want to come to a free Mediumship 101 class, go ahead and use that link that I just dropped in the comments there. Christina's also going to be doing I'm going to be teaching mediumship, but Christina's doing Jump for Joy, the happiness class, as well as looking at past lives. What I'm getting at here is that there is a class calendar on the website, spiritandspark.com. Click on the classes and you will be able to access those. And we are getting busy with session requests. So if you are interested in getting a psychic reading, card reading, mediumship, energy clearing, past lives, whatever it is, go to spiritandspark.com and make sure you've requested your session. Shamanism, hypnotherapy, all kinds of good stuff. So spiritandspark.com is where it's at. But my free gift for today's episode is going to be over at the Mediumship 101 free class pass. So go ahead and look at that link there in the comments, and I will drop it in the comments of this video as well. Okay, so before I bring on Julian, I want to give you the overview of the energy for what I feel this week, and then Julian can come on and back me up or tell me that I've completely lost my mind. The energy feels like it's about to snap. There's this big energy of transformation that's upon us. I just got off a call with Michelle Snelling and Lisa Gunshore, and we were talking about everything we've been getting as downloads, and we're getting very, very similar messages. But it feels like the United States, even though Julian is across the pond, the United States feels like we are really getting ready to hit a breaking point. So here are my energy themes for this week. Breakthroughs or breakups, the feeling of pairs, work duos, loving relationships. You're going to hit a fork in the road, I feel like, this week. Of course, it doesn't apply to everyone. This can't be a blanket statement for everybody. But I would say there's going to be somewhere that's going to be showing up in your life where some kind of relationship that you're in, whether it's professional, family, friend, romantic, you'll probably feel like a choice point this week. So just know that you've got that in the air. I do feel more divide, triggering of fear and sadness. So my question to you is, how are you moving through the lower frequencies, the lower vibrations, and what are you doing to change it in your own life and creating a difference? I did sit down, and I'm going to read this, and then we're going to bring Julian on. So I sat down on Friday, and I said, what do you need us to know? Spirit, what do you need? And they gave me this long paragraph of what they feel you need to hear. I'm going to read this. I'm going to bring Julian right on. So here we go. Relationships are changing, especially when you are being who you need to be. Are you living life on your terms with your happiness in mind? If you're living your life from a full cup, you can then help others, but you can't help everyone. Can you be okay with the divide? Can you be okay with the divide? Can you love others from afar? What are your boundaries? Can you communicate them authentically from a place of grace and kindness? Allow the universe to direct you to the people that are on your wavelength. What you let go of will bring in the new. The new space is opening up. It's okay to grieve. Honor that change is healthy. Change your inside. The outer will also change. Don't be afraid. Are you really that comfortable with stagnation? I also want you to ask yourself, where is control showing up for you in your life? Because when I sat down and channeled this message, it very much felt like, are you trying to control someone? Are you trying to control the narrative? Are you trying to make someone do something? If so, you have hit a fork in the road, my friends. You've hit a fork. I've been talking to you for almost a year. I started channeling this message almost a year ago when Spirit said, listen, you're either a prisoner or you're a pioneer of your own life. You're one or the other. You can't be in both tracks at the same time. I've been telling you this for almost a year. I've been asking you to share these videos with your friends, your family, and start bringing everybody in so that we can help raise that frequency and get people into a mindset of them being their own pioneer of their own life, their own happiness, to step into that and to step away from the fear narrative. Fear is on both sides. Don't get me wrong. I am not making a political statement. There's fear on both sides of the narrative. So maybe you've bought into it. Maybe people you know have bought into it. Now it's the time where you're like, you know what? I'm a pioneer. I'm leaning into faith over fear. Love is the answer, and I'm going to navigate my life. And the people that are over here on that prisoner track that keep asking for help, that don't take the help, and they just keep playing the victim, this felt very clear to me that Spirit was like, and no, you don't. Keep going. Keep going. Grieve. Grieve where you need to grieve. But if you feel like you have to keep pulling people up and you feel like you got to try to control how they're living their life, let it go. That fork in the road I've been preaching about for almost a year is reaching a greater divide. So this is going to be an interesting time we're going to have to navigate together, but that's why we have this community. That's why Spirit and Spark was born, and why they told me in 2019, get ready because life is about to never be the same again. And that is why we've come together. So now that I've preached my channeled message from the universe, I got to bring Julian on. So Julian, I just laid it all out. Does that make sense to you? Does that line up with the astrology?
Absolutely it does, Dallisa. That was very, very accurate indeed. I mean, you know, with the moment, we've got 3 planets in Libra, you know, so the Sun and Mercury and Mars. And so everything is very relationship oriented, you know. Mars doesn't necessarily like being in Libra. you know, because Mars wants to do its own thing, and yet it has to compromise and has to cooperate. So there's some pressure there about, oh, I've got to do the right thing, or I've got to stay, you know, aligned and harmonize, you know, but Mars wants to, you know, push ahead and be assertive and do it and sort of be a kind of possibly even like a bit of a kind of something that just pioneers or really, you know, sort of almost like a bit of a being forced to be a diplomat, shall we say, you know? And so that's kind of what's happening. But those 3 planets in Libra are working very well with the 2 planets in Aquarius at the moment, which is Jupiter and Saturn. So I think the overall picture, one could say at the moment, is there's a lot of airy planets. And air planets, air element, is about discussing things, you know, conceptualizing things, thinking about things, socializing, and being a kind of a like having an open channel. You know, if you think of the symbols for Libra and Aquarius, they both like have 2, you know, Libra's like the 2 bars with a little loop on top. Aquarius is the wavy lines. They tend to indicate there's 2 sides to everything, you know. So there's a sense of like, okay, how to communicate, you know. So it's maybe learning about communicating.
Yeah, there's a lot in the air. I want everybody watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, can you drop us a comment and let us know, how are you feeling right now? You know, we are going through Mercury retrograde. We had the new moon last week. I think Saturn's getting ready to go direct. There's just a lot to me when
today.
I look at the energy. Oh, today. Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, there you go. Today. Julian,
and again, you were absolutely spot on, because you said, you know, oh, you know, that we've got to break through the fear. You know, Saturn, one of the things Saturn represents in astrology is the planet of fear. My favorite phrase to say for Saturn is you feel the fear and do it anyway, you know, because you have to kind of learn through Saturn. Saturn's the hard lessons of sometimes in life. But also it's the planet of really building a structure or building a foundation. And when it's in Aquarius, which is where it is now, then there's something about being a bit unconventional, about being, you know, using the intellect in new and different ways, you know, progressing, you know, being progressive, moving forwards with life, thinking about humanity and the collective. And Saturn is a restricting planet. It tends to hold things back. So it's like, we know what we want to do with our humanity, with the collective. We have big dreams, we have big ideas, we have big sort of visions of the future. But Saturn's saying, yeah, but the limits are in place. It's really interesting. I'll never forget the day that that Saturn moved into Aquarius was the day that the term was coined. The first time I read it in the newspapers in England, social distancing. I don't know if you come across that in America. Do they talk about social distancing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, Aquarius is a social sign. Saturn is keeping the distance. And it was this, it was first term the day that it went into Aquarius, and I just thought that is so perfect, you know. But now all the restrictions are starting to lift. You know, we're going back to the normal world, although everything has changed. Of course, we're evolving because we realize now that we've got to essentially kind of bring ourselves together. You know, the tribes of the light, if you like. You know, we have to kind of pull in all together to recognize ourselves and start working together as a collective.
Yeah.
So there's a sense, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to cut you off because I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot, Julian. I heard you were on one of my friend's shows, YouTube shows, and you talked about this Pluto return for America. So I love that, like, I see in the comments, and even with myself, like, I think it has to do with some of the things, the planets that are going to be moving forward by the end of the month, right? Where we might just kind of start feeling a little bit lighter, but then you watch the news and you hear about these different mandates that are happening in the United States, and, you know, you have to get, you know, I don't want to say it like, flag it, but you get this, or you can't go to work, you can't have a job, you're getting fired, whatever. So I feel like there's this mix of like lightness with, oh crap, like things are really about to hit the fan. And I know that you were on my friend's show talking about America's Pluto return. So do you feel as well, like astrologically, that it's this mix of like, we can move forward and have lightness and this humanitarian energy, but also that everything's about to just lose its mind? Like, where do you feel with the energy? Where are you at with it?
Yeah, well, Pluto in Capricorn essentially is about digging up all that's not right about control Pluto in Capricorn has been in Capricorn now for 12 years. We've got about 2 years to go, or 2.5 years to go. And essentially what it does is this sense of you have to look at the larger themes over the last 12 years. So it started with that big financial crash in 2008, and everything's just been papering over the cracks ever since then. So there's a sense of the whole infrastructure of the world that we built up, say a particular kind of structure to society, to the hierarchy, to the way business worked or corporates worked and things like that, has all been broken, like a house of cards, let's call it. The house of cards is kind of tipping, but they're sticking and gluing it together, holding it all, trying to keep it all, and yet the whole thing's tilting and ready just to tip over, and something new to be born again, to be resurrected, or to rejuvenate itself, or to regenerate itself, which will be a new structure. So there's something rising up underneath. And that's kind of what, if you think of the myth of Pluto, you've got like the idea of the phoenix, rising from the ashes. It's eternal life, Capricorn is rising from the ashes of the old Capricorn. And in a way, the sense of Capricorn is we need to have a structure in our lives, right? That's how we work. Okay. And yet the old structure that we've built over, say, 200 years is falling apart, right? Now that is basically the American Pluto return, because America started in 1776. So it's now reaching its 250th anniversary very soon. And that's about Pluto transit around the zodiac, because it's a very slow moving planet. So it's the new infrastructure that's got to come through. Right, that's actually what's happening, right? As the old infrastructure appears to fall apart, right? So the division that we're feeling is, well, what side should I be on? How do I play this out? Should I stick with what I've, everything that I know, or should I be maybe a bit more daring, look to the future, and that is kind of this sense of, well, which, that brings it down to the 3 planets in Libra at the moment. Libra is all about the balance of life and which side to choose, or can I find harmony in the middle? So that is basically, kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I see. KTL saying, love the House of Cards analogy. Yes. But people are saying, like, feeling anxiety. There's a few people in here that are feeling that rise of energy. And I know that we have the Saturn square Uranus, the third one, Christmas Eve, or at least Christmas Eve in the United States. I don't know exactly the time that it hits, but do you think that, and I know I'm putting you on the spot because I told you we were just looking at like the week ahead.
No, enjoying it.
Even on my show, enough to know I kind of go off the rails a little bit.
But I do have something to say, actually. Something's just coming through.
Sure, go.
And that is, in fact, I've got to try and get that while it was hit. It was like something came in there. And it's basically this idea of like, there's more of us than there is of them. Okay. The way power structures hold together, if they're too draconian and they're too heavy-handed, right? They know that it's like a very small amount of people trying to control everything else, right? And that's the imbalance, right? So the top of the hierarchy, if you want to call them the oligarchs, the billionaires, the whatever, the 1%, whoever, the people who are the bosses, Congress or Senate, or whatever. There's only actually a small, they have to actually eventually fit to the will of the people, right? Because they do, right? So they're acting very heavy-handedly and draconian and using rules and laws to hold us all down because they don't know as much as we don't know, right? As in, they don't know that what COVID was all about. They don't understand it either, So if you live in a world of chaos, if you live in conspiracy theories, then you might say, oh, well, there's this and this and this. It's like, oh, it was a manufactured virus and it was spread on the world and blah, 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 Or you say, no, the world is actually chaos. We live in chaos and we steer our ship with a rudder, and we're going, what's the waters of chaos taking us through today, right? It's two ways of looking at it, We're both, we evolve, and so you can see it in two ways, Do conspiracy theories make people happy? Well, I'm not sure they do, Does the idea that everything is formless and yet creates form by its chaotic movement, that is to say we are, we do what we do and then things sort themselves out, is more kind of maybe a slightly more spiritual look at life, and saying, okay, well, things can happen, Now, with astrology, we look at things and we say cycles of time. We can predict, we can say, well, things, 2 planets align, we're going to get something that happens that will probably be like that, because we look back in time and we say it happened last time and last time and last time. And so we go, well, that maybe this time, something similar happens. So what we got with the COVID was the Saturn Pluto conjunction at the same time as Jupiter coming in and an asteroid called Ceres. And Ceres is the goddess of self-nurturing, actually. Ceres says, look after ourselves, we've got to look after ourselves. And Jupiter says, make it big, make it roomy, make it kind of like a sort of expansive thing. So possibly worldwide. Saturn Pluto is known for its what it does, which is often related to passing or death, or the finishing of something. Now, because it was all in Capricorn, it is the finish of the old infrastructure. So to bring that back around again, governments are now changing. There's going to be new voting systems. There's going to be whole new ways of approaching the world. There's going to be whole new ways of managing people, and that's actually what we're going towards. And it's going to be, one can only hope, more humanitarian, but there's also going to be the tech influence, smartphones and all the rest of it, because that's not going away. That is actually part of our evolution. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent there, as I do.
No, I agree with you. I think we're going to see a lot also of good things that are going to happen with technology, with, healthcare and cures of diseases that have been around for a long time. I think we're going to be making just amazing strides, over the next few years. So, but I also agree. I think it's the Tower, right? Like when I pulled the tarot card that represented 2021, it's the Tower. So I've been talking about it all year. It's that burning to the ground so that you can have that phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect card, I think, to represent what we're going through right now. And I see it escalating and feeling heavier and breaking through as we go closer to that Christmas Eve aspect of Uranus square Saturn or Saturn. Yeah. And then it's the Pluto return in February. So it's like, I keep telling people, I'm like, listen, like this is happening. You can't ignore this anymore. And I kind of feel like, I don't want to say I feel sorry for the people who aren't paying attention or who didn't find Spirit and Spark or who didn't find Julian, the London astrologer. It's like, there's all these people that just have no clue what's going on right now. And this energy is going to feel like a freight train.
Yes, it does. Yeah. And those who don't know what's going on, they might find it more difficult. They're faced with sort of dilemmas. If we know what's going on, if you can see that there's a path, there's always, we're here for eternity. Like the human race, we're always going to be here. There's always going to be a future. It's like it's almost, just believe and hope, and things are going to get good. And that's actually what I'd like to say about what's coming up. Because yes, we've got the Saturn Uranus square, like in the week of Christmas. That is going to be like just so intense because it's been the theme of the year. Okay, so it's like Saturn is the solid concrete block, right? And Uranus is the kind of lightning bolt that powers it and it creates cracks or shatters it, or and it's just like there's a form, there is a structure, and it has to change somehow. That's kind of what's going on. So in our lives, that can be in any area. You have to get chart readings for that to really precisely work out, what the Saturn Uranus is doing in your chart. But the thing here is once it's happened, Jupiter goes then into a Pisces, and Jupiter rules Pisces, and it's very happy there, right? And it's like a big billowing sail that's going onto the ocean. A sense of like, now we can drift or dream, or we can set a direction that's about growth and expansion and opportunities and lightening up somewhat by really literally getting into spiritual things. The psychic levels are going to be really powerful between New Year's Eve and the end of May, because that's the length of time Jupiter's in Pisces. So it's going to be this very, quite what I could call I suppose, like a cathartic moment. There'll be a lot of people getting an aha, you know, where they go, "Whoa, I get it, of course." so people, you know, we'll get a lot of people interested in psychic things in that first 5 months of the year. Okay, so it's a good time to really get out there, you know, and speak your truth, because Jupiter is truth, Jupiter is honesty, Pisces is the merging and the unifying of things. So if we break through the Saturn Uranus, okay, the structure doesn't last, right? Something changes along with the Pluto return coming up. Jupiter going into Pisces, I actually do believe I'm bringing hope and optimism to this. Okay, I'm not going to say that it's by no way is it the end of the world or anything like that. In fact, restrictions are going to lift. Democracy to a certain extent will return. And those in charge will say, well, maybe we do need to do it differently. Right. And that's actually what we're going to get, because Pluto is about to go into Aquarius. And that really is, when Pluto went into Aquarius, was when the Declaration of Independence was actually drafted. And the first 3 words are we, comma, the people, which is actually a very Pluto in Aquarius thing. There's going to be tech, you know, tech. Everyone's going to be linked up on phones and whatever and computers. And that's the way of communicating, you know, and that's doing that's a show in itself, by the way. So do keep that in mind if you want to chat about certain areas of how the world is changing. You know, that makes a very interesting talk. So, you know, talk to me about that. You know, we can maybe talk about that. You know, but the idea of what Jupiter in Pisces is doing now is I think hope and optimism. I can't see it being a bad thing. And when it meets Neptune in April next year, that is potentially very spiritual. You know, I'd even say a form of a kind of like almost like a real union, you know, a real sense of like the merging and the blending of something, you know, of something very spiritual and very special and magical. And so it could be really wonderful time. Huh?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Ellen was just asking for clarification. So do you feel that with all of these changes that humanitarianism will be the prevalent energy? Like, so when you look at 2022, we know we got Pluto return. We know that the old structure is not going to stand anymore. We know that there's going to be a lot of change that's going to be happening relatively soon. So then do you feel like because of the revolutions and the energy of revolting and the change, do you think then that everyone kind of bands together in this humanitarian way?
Yes. And I think this is the key to also using tech, you know, to connect, you know, whatever distance we are, you know, wherever you're at, you can still be together, you know, it's like having a sort of a global connective network. And I think that's very important. And humanitarianism, of course, is quite linked to things like compassion and empathy. If you feel for others, you know, what can we do to improve our lot in life? How can we all move together, you know, into something, you know, try and make it good, make it, you know, what are our hopes and wishes in our lives? You know, how can we, you know, make improvements? And in a way, humanitarianism says, yeah, we got to look out for everybody, you know, whoever you are, wherever you are, whoever it is, whatever level of society they fit into, you know, everyone has to be looked out for. Everyone has to have, you know, it's a rearrangement of politics, to be honest. I think that's what we're going to get, and there's going to be big movements behind that. You know, that's really what we're headed towards, and so that there's less inequality. Aquarius is actually we're in a 20-year phase of Aquarius now, with Jupiter Saturn meeting there back in December 21st, 2020. That big one we talked about back then. That set a tone for 20 years, and Aquarius is humanitarianism, and Aquarius is about equality. You know, it's kind of this idea of leveling things out or trying to equalize things. So if there's massive inequality here, then it can be, you know, by balancing things out. So many different levels of society are going to find that they get some inclusion again, you know, or something like that, you know. And that is, you know, it's hopeful. It's hopeful because we need that in life. We can't carry on with that sense of, oh, I'm more powerful or greater than you, or, you know, that's, you know, that sort of thing of where people look down on each other, you know, or people look up to be wishful or desiring of something, whereas others looking, you know, it's the idea of some groups are going, oh, I'm looking up to something that I would. Other people are looking down, going, oh, ha, ha, or whatever, And it's about bringing those two to at least so they find an equality, and this is going to be very economic as well. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of big shifts going on, and we'll see. It's exciting. We are in an incredibly exciting phase.
Yeah. Yeah. Question. While we're on this, before I move on, somebody else has submitted a question that I want to bring up here in a second. I know that, and you do sessions all the time for people that want to look at how all this energy is going to hit different parts of their chart and what parts of their life. But would you say that if somebody has strong Aquarius placement, like I have a midheaven of Aquarius, Ellen, who was asking the question, is an Aquarian. So do you find that, like, if you have that in a strong placement in your chart, that you typically will feel it more depending on what the aspect is?
Yes. If you've got planets in a sign and there's big transits going on, then it will really apply to your life. So there'll be some very specific things that can move yourself forward in your life. So you can make quite big, substantial changes in things. You can align to the feelings that you've always, aligned to what's right for your life. So it's about finding about those planets in Aquarius. Looking at them in context to the whole chart, and then seeing what's going on that helps you then define your purpose. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. Let's go ahead and let me bring this next question up. You may have kind of answered it already, but they're asking, do you see big changes happening before the end of 2021? So we know we have Saturn in square Uranus on Christmas Eve, so December 24th. And we're here going live, October 11th. So between October, November, December, are you sensing, based off of the astrology, do you think there's going to be some big upheaval and that destruction of the old? What do you think's coming in?
Well, I do think there is, because Saturn Uranus has been building up all year. We've already had two exact Saturn Uranuses. The first one, I think, was February. The second one was June. And now we're getting the culmination. So the culmination is usually the sort of the biggest mover, And so I have a feeling there may be something a little bit that's not normal about Christmas. Okay, something that allows for something quite surprising and unexpected to the tradition. Saturn's very much a traditional planet, and when Christmas happens, it's the Sun in Capricorn, which is Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So I think maybe a change in the way Christmas is done. Maybe again, this idea of online-y kind of stuff and collective movements towards making changes. Could it be that people don't believe in Christmas anymore? Something like that may be quite Uranian. Something like really surprising when people go, "Well, there's something not right about Christmas. We did it this way for 200 years. What if we were to change it? Maybe make it more like a winter solstice, the celebration of the return of the sun, shall we say? The idea that the sun has reached its we've got the shortest day in the north, in December 21st, and then the light starts to come back. Maybe there's something about that could be celebrated. It's there's a shift. There's definitely a shift. I can tell you what's happening in England, but I need to sort of attune to America for this. But
no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that there's going to be a fundamental shift, and it could be, the old versus the new, or the traditional versus the rebellion, new energy. There's just a lot of the duplicity in the air, and I think that Christmas will not be like all of the other Christmases we had prior to 2020. And it's going to be different. And, we all kind of get our visions, or we look at the charts and we give you our best interpretation of the energy. But I think that by the end of the year, and I talk about it weekly in my Spark Plug member videos, because there's just a lot of stuff I can't say anymore here. And so I do it over there, and oh man, we're getting all into what's going on in the US, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. So yes, I agree with you. What's going on? Do you have anything you want to tell us about, like, the next week or two ahead, as we go a little bit more micro? They've asked some really great questions, but so let us know what's coming.
Yes, absolutely. So of course it's Saturn going direct today, So the one thing I want to say about that is with Saturn, it's probably because it's been retrograde for about 4 months. There's a sense of what part of my life can I improve? Where am I feeling that there's something missing, something lacking? Have I not tried hard enough? Where do I have to push? Where do I have to really work or obligate myself or be dutiful in order to make something work better in my life? And that's what's coming through today, over the next few days as Saturn starts to go direct. So there's been a review phase about one's sense of responsibility and commitment, and as I said, in Aquarius, it's a very social level. At a very social level, it's like, I want to go and be doing this with my group, like a Aquarian thing, like a bigger, greater sort of. But Saturn's holding things back, so it's like, well, I would have gone out and go to all these social things, but the lockdowns and the mask wearing and the this and the that and all the things that have held us back, well, that's kind of part of this review phase, and now it's going to, everything's starting to lift a bit, and I mean, today, I know the travel restrictions are starting to get more easing off, and I think that's going to be very
maybe over the pond in the United States. We have a whole other issue that's brewing. I talked about it in my Spark Plug member video this week. We got something that's bubbling up in the United States around travel.
Right. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it just is starting to happen. So
yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. And then Jupiter goes into Pisces. That should be, as I said, I'm full of hope and optimism for that. Always have to have hope. So what's happening this week, to bring that right down to the micro? We've chunked up big, we'll chunk down small. So we'll say now that on Wednesday, the 13th, we have the first quarter lunar phase. Okay, so this is when the moon is now growing in light in the sky. All right, so we're leading up to a full moon, which will be in 9 days' time. But as the moon gathers her light, all right, she's going to be in Capricorn, all right, which is quite ambitious and enterprising. All right, and it's going to be making us the first quarter moon phase is when the sun squares the moon. So there's always a little bit of tension. It's quite a light thing, but because the moon phase, the moon moves very quickly, but it does set a tone for like moving forwards or increasing in something at one's emotional understanding of a situation. So what we're going to get is this sense of possibly something to do with powerful new partnerships on the table for consideration, because, as I said, the moon in Capricorn is triggering ambition and enterprise. The sun is in Libra, which is all about partnerships and cooperation and working together and relating. So there may be a sense of that sort of clicking into place from the 13th. And someone might be forcing their will a bit, because what's building up after that is the sun square Pluto, which is going to happen later on in the week. So sun squares Pluto on the Sunday, the 17th. But it'll be the first quarter moon on Wednesday, this Wednesday in 2 days' time. The first quarter moon clicks that into place. Then as the moon moves on, Pluto or the sun then starts to act on Pluto. And this is happens a couple of times a year, sun square Pluto. And it's about facing intense pressure, sometimes a sense of being manipulating, or because Pluto's can be quite underhanded, underground, quite subversive or powerful things, hidden matters, should we say, and power struggles. So it tends to be very political. So it might be like a sense of needing to balance out the relationships between two things. So because the sun's still in Libra, and there might be very evident things. So if something's left that's not been done very well or something like that, then that can come up for like exposure, because Pluto tends to dig things up. Mm-hmm. So there's issues of relationships and things like that. And Pluto can say, eliminate, regenerate, regrow, do something with it, do something with the way your relationships are being managed. And there may be a depth exploration, quite psychological Pluto, so it can go right deep into the psyche, like deep down one feels, oh God, I've got to get my power back, or I've got to do something, or I've got to make some changes in my life. And it's the square, so it can come across as some tension. So it's not an easy aspect. Okay, so the first quarter moon on Wednesday will trigger that, but there are some very nice aspects this week, and I mean really nice ones, to counteract all that. Okay, so that's why I'd say with this Sun square Pluto, we're looking at a sense of powerful new partnerships for consideration. Okay, something big can come up and say, oh, I need to do this, or I feel I need to do that. So the good aspects that are happening is leading up to this is on Thursday, and that's starting now. I mean, it's already what we say in astrology in orb. The two orbs, the planets, they're fusing. They're starting to cross their paths. So it's Sun trine Jupiter. So Sun's in Libra, and it's making a harmonious. The trine is a harmony with Jupiter in Aquarius. Okay. So this is one of the most beneficial alignments in the year. Okay, it's always good, and so you can seek favors from those in power or who have influence or wealth or success. You can expect good feelings. You can expect peace and harmony. You can have opportunities opening for the future that hold a lot of promise. The only thing with this is because it's a trine. If you just feel the good feelings and don't act on them, then you miss the opportunity of the trine, right? So it can be like, oh, I feel good today. People say to themselves, you get a lot of people like, people feel the bad things happen, right? But actually there's just as many good things happening in the world at the same time, right? And sometimes you can get really anxious, upset, and also by the bad things because they're obvious. They're like, but when something good is happening, some people just sit around and go, oh, I'll read a book today, or I'll take a nice walk in the park or with the dog or something or whatever, right? They do something that they don't think about what they could really do with the good things, and so, by having some knowledge of astrology, you take the harmony when it comes along and you can say, right, well, I can really do something with that. So it's a little bit to do with planning, really. And so if you're feeling buoyant and enthused and quite happy at this current time, Thursday the 14th of October, then you can make the most of it, right? So the Sun in Libra is like, well, my relationships have been difficult, and there's still a difficulty there, maybe with the Sun coming up to square Pluto. But how can I make it better? How can I make it good? How can I be optimistic? How can I make it, how can I learn from this and understand it better? So it's also a good time to look at the big picture and the overall pattern that you have with your partner, and say, well, let's not cling to something we don't need, so that'll be the Sun square Pluto. Let's say, okay, changes need to be made, but where's the good stuff? What's the things that we like? What are the new activities we can do? The new experiences we can have? The new of everything things, let's make some differences. Let's do something new and different that we haven't done before. And so if you guide the process through, things will go very well. So that's Thursday. Leading on to that, then we have a couple of days of still that build, going up to the Sun square Pluto. But there's a very nice Mercury making good aspect with Venus. And that's on Sunday before the Sun squares Pluto. So again, we're looking at a sense of diplomacy and harmony here. Venus is the planet of relating. It's now in Sagittarius, which is a fire sign of creative hopefulness. It's quite uplifting. Venus in Sagittarius is quite carefree. It's like, hey, well, good fun. Likes to have fun. And Mercury is in Libra. Okay, so Mercury is like, let's get the balance and harmony right. It's just finishing its retrograde. That'll be, it's which I'll talk about any second now, but it's coming to the end of its retrograde. It's going to make a good aspect to Venus. And this is kind of like saying, well, let's get some, balance out the polarities between, say, the partnership of, whatever it is, like marriages, partnerships, relationships. Let's balance them out. Let's get this right. The polarities, let's get them right. Let's be tactful. Let's establish a good connection. Let's be helpful to each other. This is Mercury to Venus doing well. It's the 60-degree aspect called the sextile. So it's Mercury making a sextile to Venus. And actually, in this particular one, I think Venus applies to Mercury, which is slightly different to doing it Mercury, because Mercury's slowing down to go direct. And so this is where the emphasis is on Venus this time around. So so there's a lot of pleasantry to keep things nice and smooth between people and allow for points of view to be expressed. So if there's a good feelings coming through, then express them. You know, it's a good time to get really to balance out harmony with a partner. Okay, and talk at a nice level. You know, keep it social, keep it light, keep it truthful, keep it honest, because Venus in Sag likes the truth. Okay. Sagittarius is the truthful sign. You know, it's very
I know, I'm a Sag.
Oh, you a Sag? Of course, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Brilliant, yes. So that brings us then. Okay, then we got the rest of Sunday is that Sun square Pluto. All right. So you know, it's like bring up the depths. What you know, one partner might say to the other, what is the problem? You know, let's listen to it. You know, that would be the same day. You know, Sunday the 17th. Sun squares Pluto, Mercury is sextiling Venus. So it's like, tell me your problems. Let's see if we can work through this issue. You know, that's kind of, so allow for diplomacy, right? Allow for a healing to come through, because Pluto's very healing, right? Pluto just basically crunches up the ego, right? Every time, right? It's like forces you to, you know, the evolution forces to change, you know, and the ego goes, oh no, I'm used to being me, and Pluto goes, no, you're going to change. and that's why people have so many problems and difficulties, because they want to be the person they have always been used to being. And then Pluto says, no, evolve, you know, and eliminate the past and be new, you know, recreate yourself. So if you've got a partner to talk about this, talk to them about it and be honest and truthful and let all that stuff out, because once the devastation has occurred, if there is to be one, like a sense of power, I bet you weren't expecting that kind of stuff, then diplomacy can come into its place. And in turn, then that brings us to Monday the 18th, and we have two planets going direct, having been retrograde. Jupiter goes direct in Aquarius and Mercury goes direct in Libra. So again, it's about saying, well, you know what? I've been evaluating everything. You know, I've been weighing things up. I've been seeking a new perspective, and now I know I've got some truth here. And you know what? Now we can move forwards in a different way. All right, and that is kind of what's happening politically as well. You know, so everything is changing, not only in your personal life, but there's a sense of moving forwards to allow for new things. You know, so again, it's about being reformist. You know, Aquarius is a sign of the reform or reformation of things. And it's quite idealistic, you know. Aquarians can be quite good. They get quite concerned about things. So that brings about the humanitarian, because we're trying to talk about the collective here. You know, Aquarians would be like, well, what are we going to do for the world? You know, so so Jupiter going direct in Aquarius is that, well, what are we going to do for humanity? You know, and there's a determined resolution there as well, because Jupiter and Saturn, Aquarius is a fixed sign. It doesn't like change. You know, it's quite rigid. You know, it sticks with something. It says, right, well, I'm determined to bring this through. And so there's a lot of independence and freedom loving things with Aquarius as well. You know, the idea that we can be free to do what we want to do, you know, and so, you know, it's almost as if, you know, with astrology, there's many different quantum pathways. You know, there's always many different ways to follow the paths, you know, and with this Sun square Pluto, Mercury sextile Venus, followed by Jupiter and Mercury going direct, it could be like, I've been really unhappy in my relationship. I must make some changes. Yes, you must make some changes, you know, and there's an allowance for that, you know, Mercury sextile Venus. There's an allowance. Yes, go and be free. And then Jupiter Mercury says, oh, sort of what I needed to do. I just need my independence. It can almost be like, can we still be together but feel more free, right? You know, can we still do this, you know, but at the same time feel like we've got more freedom, Yeah. And that's a diploma. That's a discussion point, you know? So that's really kind of where I'd say that's at.
Yeah,
so
you got a lot going on over there in your charts, Julian. Yeah, no, it's really helpful. Everybody's been commenting and agreeing with what you're saying, and how they're feeling is matching up with the charts. I know we started, on this big grandiose scale of what's coming towards the end of the year, and then, when we head into next year, kind of those first 6 months of next year, what's coming feels like we've got, some really strong, intense aspects for the week ahead, but we also have some really beautiful energy that would allow us to take action and rise above and do the things that we've been wanting to do, while all having this undertone of coming together for the collective in a humanitarian way. It's really interesting because I think about the humanitarian energy, and I completely agree that that's where we're headed. It'll be very interesting to see how that prisoner pioneer mentality and energy plays out in this, because, some of us want so badly to have all of us kind of singing kumbaya and equality and all of these amazing, wonderful things. But then there's also the other side of the equation that is still in a denser, maybe lower octave of energy. And so kind of managing the dance between the two is really interesting. So I always try to remind people, like, stay as neutral as you can. If you're triggered, understand why, heal it, transform it within yourself, because when you transform your inside, you transform your outer world. But I know we got to get going here in a second. I'm going to pull our card of destiny for everybody here in just a minute, or our card of the week. But before I let you go, because you brought so much amazing information today. Yeah.
One more transit to talk about, which is on the Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Or rather, actually it's on the Monday and Tuesday is another trine, and that is another harmonious trine, which is Mars trine Jupiter, because Mars is also in Libra at the moment, trining Jupiter in Aquarius. So this is a very good and lucky phase for taking action to make things grow. Okay, so whatever comes out of the ashes of Sun square Pluto, with respect to finding a new way to do relationships, maybe, right? There's also a sense of interesting ideas to discuss and contemplate, futuristic and unique ideas that can be put forward, because it's all air signs, all right? And there's a good optimism, okay, for like Monday, so it's like, as those planets move direct, there is a good feeling. It's uplifting, right? It's airy, it takes us up, breeziness, wind, like a sense of movement through air, which is always very positive. And so actions are blessed with insight, shall we say? That's a good way of putting it, right? So whatever happens on Sunday, know that Monday has actions blessed with insight, right? And so if you feel the zest of things, of all challenges, and you can go, yeah, I can get through this, then you can expand on your goals, all right? So be on the lookout for things where you can gain stuff in life, like financial gain, favors, generosity. You can get respect for being honest and to the point, all right? Okay. And that's what I've got to say.
Well, before you go, because this was amazing, I'm sure everybody's been taking notes. And before I kind of pull our last card and wrap up the show, let everybody know. I put your Instagram down at the bottom in the banner here, London Astrologer. On Instagram, you've got a Facebook page, you've got a website, londonastrologer.com. You're doing one-on-one sessions with people all over the world. Is there anything else you want people to know?
Well, I'd say come and have a reading with me. I love talking astrology, and I would love to do your chart. Come and meet me online. And let me do your chart, because I've been doing astrology for many, many years, and I love what I do. I have a great passion for the art, and so come and talk to me. Come and find me, londonastrologer.com. And if you do sign up for today, if you do want a reading today, then tell me you watched this show, and I can give you a bit of a discount. Okay.
Ooh. You heard it first from Julian, the London Astrologer. Mention the YouTube show and go get a reading with Julian. And then you can find out where all of this energy is going to hit your chart and what's coming for you specifically. So beautiful. Okay, thanks, Julian. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, Dallisa. Always a pleasure. Hope to speak to you again soon.
We'll do it again soon.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Julian, always full of so much information. I just sit there like taking it all in. Go get a session with Julian. He's awesome. Don't forget to mention the show. So go to lindonastrologer.com and you can have your session. Go book your session. All right, so let's pull Card of Destiny. I did see a question in there about international travel. People are talking about the airline stuff. Spoiler alert, I don't think that it's all weather related. I talk about it in the Spark Plug member video. So if you are a member, go check out that video. It is in your portal. I posted it this morning. If you are not a Spark Plug member, head on over to spiritandspark.com and click on the Spark Plug in the tab of the menu of the website and join the Spark Plug. Join our community. You can hear my weekly exclusive videos. You can send in your own question about what's happening in the world or in the United States, and I'll answer the question in the member video each week. So, okay. Let's go ahead and pull the card. Reminder that I do have the Mediumship 101 class that's coming up. So make sure, I'm going to post this link again, that I want you to go and sign up for that. There are a limited amount of spaces. So if you're interested in how to communicate with the other side, angels, guides, you know, loved ones and spirit, then I would highly suggest signing up. Join me for class. It's complimentary. So all the information is on that link I just posted. All right, so let's go ahead and shuffle the cards. There we go. Thank you. Let's see what we got. And then hopefully you'll also join me for the Transform in 20 November series. I'd love to have you in that. Okay, we got the 8 of Hearts. Let's see how this matches up with the astrology. The power of love is calling you to the dance floor. If there's something that you need support with, this is the time to reach out and let that support come your way, because it is waiting to do just that. Encouragement can come in ways you did not imagine or you did not expect. So be open and receptive in each moment. Refinement in the inner world of your being may be called for at this time. And if it does speak to you, meditation or similar activities could make way for your greatest clarity. Let your decisions and your actions be guided by love and gratitude, and you will find yourself in the pot at the end of the rainbow, as this is the most fortunate influence. Tap into your heart energy that knows that when someone or something is touched by the hand of love, greatness is the result. I think that that absolutely aligns with what Julian and I were talking about today. I trust that it's helpful. Please, if you need sessions, go to spiritandspark.com, go to londonastrologer.com, and let us know. You know, it is a busy time of year, but we can usually squeeze you in. I'm sure Julian would love the opportunity to work with you as well. And let us help you. Let us help you kind of figure out, you know, what's coming and what you can do and give you that clarity, because it is going to be a wild ride. Any way you slice it, any way I look at the energy, it's big change, it's big momentum, but I do think ultimately it is going to get us to where we need to go, where the collective wants to go, in that light-filled space. So we've just got some stuff we got to push through first, but I trust in the process. I know I signed up to be here, right now, because there's a lot that's about to happen, and we all get a front row seat. So yay for us. We did it. We were brave. We were courageous. We stepped in, and let's take action to benefit humanity, to help our fellow brothers and sisters, those that are ready, those that are saying, all right, let's do this. Not the ones necessarily you have to pull and try to yank up, but who's ready, and how can you help them, and how can you help yourself? Keep your cup full so that you can give to other people from that full cup. All right. I trust that the information you heard in today's video was helpful. Please do us a favor, help us grow the community, and send this video to a few friends, a few family members, and say, hey, maybe you'll hear something in this video that might be helpful in helping you navigate your life. Who's going through a challenge right now? Send them our way. We'd love to be able to help them. All right, everybody, I'll be back here shortly with Michelle Snelling. I'll be on her Practicality and Magic show, which will also air on Spirit and Spark TV here on YouTube. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you here shortly. All right.